everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of the Knitty Heather podcast. My name is Heather, and I'm coming to you from Kent, Washington, where I live with my husband and our Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, Pepper. This is my channel where I chat all about my knitting, sometimes a little bit of crocheting, and everything I learn along the way I'd like to share with everyone. If you are a new viewer, thank you so much for finding me. I really appreciate it and hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you very, very much for coming back. It's been really nice to meet some wonderful people through this podcast. If you'd like to follow me, I am at Knitty Heather on Instagram. I always love connecting with people there and seeing what everybody else is making. And anything I talk about as far as yarn, patterns, any accessories, I will link in the description box below. Today is Wednesday, October 14th. I have so much to tell you about today. It's been almost a month since I've podcasted, and I've done quite a bit of yarn shopping, and I've gotten a ton of knitting done. So let's get started. Today I am wearing my Clapotis by Kate Gilbert. This is a really fun drop stitch pattern. It's a very popular pattern. A ton of people have made it. I did it out of Knit Picks Hawthorne in the colorway Happy Valley. It is such a fun pattern. There's so many out there that it's really fun to look at on Ravelry. It turns out to be kind of a wrap, but I did not do as many increases and made it more the width of a scarf. I'm wearing it double, and I did not increase it to be as wide, but I made it pretty long and just whip stitched it together so I can loop it around twice and wear it more like a cowl. I find it a little more comfortable that way, but it's such a fun pattern. I highly encourage you to check it out. Clapotis by Kate Gilbert. Today I am also wearing some socks from the Cozy Knitter. This is in her colorway Celebration, and I got a pink mini for the toes, heels, and cuff. This is her Bliss base, and I did just a vanilla sock. I did a wedge toe with a fish lips kiss heel and a 2x2 rib for the cuff. If you saw one of my very first Knitty Heather scrap episodes, my shorter subject videos, you'll see that I got all prepared to go on a road trip to Colorado at the end of July. That trip actually ended up getting postponed, and we just returned from a lovely road trip down to Fort Collins, Colorado. I am lucky to have a wonderful husband who encourages me to stop and check out local yarn stores along the way. So I was able to check out 3 brand new to me yarn stores that I'd never been to, and they were just amazing. The first one I stopped at was in Laramie, Wyoming. It was called Cowgirl Yarns, and I was able to pick up 2 skeins there. I was super excited to find that they had artistic yarns by Addi. I'd been hearing about her brand for a long time. This is her watermelon colorway. And as you can see on the little tag, that's how it's going to knit up in a beautiful pair of socks. I'm super excited. I don't know when I'll cast these on, but I thought this colorway was so much fun. Watermelon by Artistic Yarns by Addi. And then I also found a brand new dyer called MJ Yarns, and this is the colorway Northern Lights. Here's the front of the tag. And I think this is going to make a beautiful cowl. I'm going to try to find a really nice cowl pattern that I can knit up with this beautiful skein of yarn. This was MJ Yarns in the colorway Northern Lights. Once we actually made it to Fort Collins, Colorado, I had the absolute pleasure of going to probably the largest yarn store I've ever been to, called the Loopy U. And they just had the most incredible selection of so many beautiful yarns, so many different weights. They usually had little blurbs about all the dyers. It was just incredible. I could have spent hours and hours there. But I did find a kit to make a Simon Says cowl by Tanis Gray. Here are the 2 colors that they were selling in a kit for that particular pattern. This is by the Uncommon Thread. It is their Merino DK. This colorway, this kind of silvery gray, is called Lark. And this beautiful sort of red, deep burgundy color is called Lust. I think these will go beautifully together to make the Simon Says Cowl by Tanis Gray. The other skein I picked up at the Loopy U is from Dye-tastic hand-dyed yarns. This is the colorway Where Home Is. And it's got just another really pretty fall palette. And they had a sample in the store of the Slipstream Cowl by Louise Zass Bangham, and that is what I am going to make out of this. I'm trying to kind of plan and knit up a bunch more cowls just because I find myself wearing cowls a little bit more often than I wear shawls. They're just a little easier to wear for me and just a little more comfortable. You don't have to mess around with them as much. So I'm really trying to make an effort this fall to cast on a few more cowls to add to my wardrobe. This was Dye-tastic. It is a 75%, 25% merino nylon base, and it's the colorway Where Home Is. The last yarn store I was able to check out was in Loveland, Colorado, and it was Hugh Loco's brick and mortar store. Another absolutely incredible place. If you're ever anywhere in the area, I highly encourage you to check it out. It was so awesome, very well stocked with all her different bases, all her beautiful colors, tonals, speckles, sock yarns. She also had a really good selection of her beautiful sock sets and her beautiful Color Riot mini sets. I could have spent a lot of money and done a lot of damage there. But I did constrain myself to just 2 hanks of yarn from that store as well. The first I've actually already cast on a project that I'll talk about in a second. This is her Merino DK in the color Agate. Here is her label. That's the colorway Agate. And I'll show you what I'm knitting with that in just a second. The other skein I picked up is going to be for a pair of socks. And it is her merino sock base, 80/20 merino nylon. And this is the Sanderson Sisters colorway. As you can see, I've been really into these like reds and purples and greens, all these pretty fall colors lately. But it was so much fun to check out Nicole of Hugh Loco's shop. I know she has an incredible online store too, so definitely check her out. Now on to some finished objects. I have 6 pairs of socks that I would love to show you today. As you can imagine, with our road trip down to Colorado, I had lots of car knitting time. So I was super productive and got a lot of sock knitting done. I figured those are the perfect things to work on in the car. My first pair I'd like to show you are my September Desert Vista Dyework socks. This is in the colorway Candyland. And as you can see, I did the toe and the heel in kind of this pink and white mini that sort of matches the lettering from the game board and the game box. It's got all the different colors you find on the board. This was the first time I used her sparkle base, which I loved. I started out with a wedge toe, worked up the foot and the leg. I bound off once I got to the pink part, and then I went back and did an afterthought heel with the mini as well. I am very happy with these. I think my preschoolers will love them when I wear them to class. This was Desert Vista Dyeworks in the colorway Candyland. Next is my pair from the Cozy Knitters Yarn of the Month Club. Here they are. This is the colorway Rhinebeck. It came with a pretty gold mini for the toes, heels, and I did the cuff in them as well. I started at the toe again. I did a wedge toe, worked up the foot. I did a fish lips kiss heel, and then I did 10 rounds of ribbing. And I really love the colors in this colorway. I think they are also very perfect for fall. I really think it's a very unique combination of colors that turned out so nicely. Here's the other one. I made these a tiny bit longer than I normally do, just because I wanted to get back up to where the gold would be so I could do the gold mini with the cuff. Make it kind of even out, but I just love these. I cannot wait to wear these and add these to my sock drawer. This was the Cozy Knitter in the colorway Rhinebeck from her Yarn of the Month Club. Next up is the pair of socks I made from my Yarnable subscription by Hypnotic Yarn. This is the colorway Don't Be Ridicule. And the pattern I did for these, I did actually do a pattern for these socks. This is the Morning Coffee Socks by Kay Litton. It's a very simple kind of knit and purl pattern. You start at the cuff with a twisted rib, work down the leg. She has you do a slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset. And then she has you do the pattern just on top of the foot. But I thought this was a nice combination with this colorway. I felt like doing a little bit of a pattern. This is Don't Be Ridicule by Hypnotic Yarn, and I used the pattern Morning Coffee Socks by Kay Litton. The next pair I'd like to show you, I haven't actually talked a whole lot about. I just sort of mentioned them in a previous video, but this is Patons Croy in the colorway Rose Brown Marl. It's another sort of self-striping. They're much thicker stripes. But I've had these on the needles for quite a long time, and I finally decided to bring these on our road trip to finish up. These I also started at the toe, and I did a fish lips kiss heel with about 10 rounds of 2x2 rib. And I'm trying to decide if I want to gift these to a friend of mine or if I want to keep them for myself. I'm thinking about it. I do like these, but I do know someone who probably would really love these as well. So these are the Rose Brown Marl socks. This is by Patons Croy, and it's another just plain vanilla sock with a fish lips kiss heel. And I'm glad to have these off the needles to clear up another pair of sock needles for another pair of socks, of course. The last pairs of socks I'd like to tell you about you have seen quite a few times, but I did finally finish them. The first are my Pumpkin King socks. This colorway is by Dragon Horde Yarn. It is called Pumpkin King. And I did the Vanilla Latte socks by Virginia Rose Jeans. This is a cuff down pattern. I did a 2x2 rib for the cuff. I did an Eye of Partridge heel flap and gusset. And then I continued the pattern across the top of the foot. It's another very simple knit and purl pattern, and it just gives a little bit of extra interest besides just a plain vanilla stockinette sock. And I really love how it turned out with this colorway. It knit up very beautifully, and I am glad to have another pair of fall socks off the needles, because then of course I got to cast on another pair in a fall colorway. The last finished pair of socks I have are by Scrumptious Pearl. This is their Hocus Pocus colorway. She included a pretty orange mini for the heels, toes, and cuffs. These really cool sock blockers are from D19 Eco-Friendly Life on Etsy. I will be sure to link her shop below. But it's another really pretty self-striping. This is the first yarn from Scrumptious Pearl that I had ever used, and I absolutely loved it. It's very plump, very soft and squishy. And I just think these are really pretty. A lovely combination of stripes for the fall, and I'm thrilled to have these complete so that I can wear them. Now on to my works in progress. I'd like to start by talking about a few of my non-sock whips right now. The first is a hat for an aunt of mine who has a birthday at the end of this month. This is what I am doing out of the Hue Loco in the colorway Agate. And I have it in this really cool Wizard of Oz bag from Lolo Did It. And it is the Sweet Felicia hat by Jody Brown. It's just a really pretty cabled hat. I have a sea turtle stitch marker because this particular aunt really loves sea turtles. And I think it's going to look really pretty. It's knitting up very nicely with this pretty tonal. And it's helping the cables to come out really, really nicely. I think this will look so good on her. This is a really pretty color on my aunt, and I hope she loves it. She knows that I'm knitting it for her, so this isn't ruining any surprise. But this is Sweet Felicia by Jody Brown, who is also Mrs. Brown's Bags and one of the grocery girls. And I love how it is knitting up. This is the third time I've made this hat, and it is just as fun this third time as it was the very first time. I am using my Knitter's Pride Royale interchangeable 16-inch needles for this hat. It's the perfect thing to use for a hat. Sweet Felicia by Jody Brown. Next on the needles, I have the first of a pair of fingerless mitts for another aunt of mine, actually, who works on a farm in Virginia. There's the cuff, and I am at the point now where I am going to start the thumb gusset. This pattern does have a thumb, and then the rest of the hand is a fingerless mitt. I hope she loves these. This colorway is number 65, and it is Cascade 220 Superwash Merino. The pattern I am using is called Vanilla Fingerless Mitts by Claudia Donnelly. And here's one more look. I'm using my Knitter's Pride DPNs, they're Dreams DPNs. And I might have to knit a couple more pairs of these. I think these will be really useful. I like fingerless mitts as well. Vanilla Fingerless Mitts by Claudia Donnelly. My first sock whip that I'd like to tell you about are my October Desert Vista Dye Works socks. I am actually almost done with these. I am at the point where I am ready to do my afterthought heel. I have the stitches picked up. I just need to knit them. So this is the colorway Zombies Jumping in the Leaves. It's another really fun zombie stripe colorway of hers. Perfect fall colors. I chose to use this pretty gold mini. Here it is in the cake for the toes, and I will use them for the heels when I pick up the heels. I started cuff down and just did a huge tube, ended with the toe, and then like I say, now I've got all my stitches picked up on both. I did these in tandem, so I worked 10 rounds on this one, 10 rounds on that one, and I am ready to go ahead and just start knitting the afterthought heel for both of these. I have them in an awesome Broadway bag. Check that out. From Fate's Thread. I love this bag a lot. I always love seeing the different shows depicted on this fabric. It's absolutely fabulous. One of my very favorite bags by Fate's Thread. So I am almost done with these. I will certainly have these done by the end of the month. It just striped up so beautifully. I'm really happy with how these matched up. Zombies Jumping in the Leaves by Desert Vista Dye Works. These are my October Desert Vista Dye Works socks. Next, I have my Cozy Knitter Yarn of the Month Club socks. I have it in this pretty bee bag by MLD Threads. This is the perfect size bag for me for 2 at a time socks. And it's usually what I put my Cozy Knitter socks in. Check her out. This is MLD Threads on Etsy. This is the colorway Minty Fresh. I've got my Fruit Loops Progress Keeper from Sucre Miniatures. It is a 3-stripe repeat. We've got kind of this minty green, which she included a mini of that minty green color for the toes, heels, and cuffs. This pretty blue, and then kind of a creamy white. I think it's knitting up really, really pretty. It's definitely different than any of the other colorways of hers I have, and that's wonderful. It will be an excellent addition to my sock drawer. I've got a little bit more to knit up the foot, and then I will do a Fish Lips Kiss Heel with the mini. I always love doing Fish Lips Kiss Heel with this particular base. This is her 80/20 Bliss base, and It's just the coziest. I mean, she's not lying when she calls herself the cozy knitter. It's the nicest base and makes the warmest, comfiest socks. So I'm thrilled to be making progress on these. I've got quite a bit more to do, but I'm hoping to have these done by the end of the month as well. This is Minty Fresh by the Cozy Knitter, her latest color in her Yarn of the Month club. My last monthly sock that I am trying to finish is from the Yarnable subscription by Hypnotic Yarn. This is Seance. How pretty is that for Halloween? How perfect. I'm using a S'mores Progress Keeper from Pitter Patter Polymer on Etsy. Here's what it looks like in the cake. I mean, it is just the coolest colorway. Such pretty oranges and purples and greens. I love her colors. So I am going to do just a vanilla sock. I did 15 rounds of 2x2 rib for the cuff, and I have done 60 rounds for the leg, and then now I'm going to start a slip stitch heel flap. Then I'll just need to make the second one. I will probably do more of a rounded toe. I have it in this really cool Wizard of Oz bag from Fate's Thread. I love this drawstring style bag, especially for just one pair of socks at a time. It really works out nicely. Fate's Thread, she does have her own website now, and I'll be sure to link that below. This will be another pair of Hypnotic Yarn Yarnable socks plus a nice pair of fall socks as well. Seance by Hypnotic Yarn from her Yarnable subscription. Last up for socks are two brand new pairs of fall socks that I had to cast on because I'm really just trying to add to my fall sock wardrobe. And the first one I have in this brand new, really cute Mary Poppins bag from Fangirl Fibers. This is a brand new pair of socks from Turtle Pearl. This is the colorway Bewitching. I've got my Halloween cookie Progress Keeper from Sweet Cherry on Etsy. One thing that Turtle Pearl does really well, she is also on Etsy, is the different size stripes for self-striping yarn. And she makes them in 2 equal 50-gram balls, so you don't have to worry about separating them. Here's what the striping looks like, and I did do Fish Lips Kiss Heel in the green mini, which I also did for this wedge toe that she included with this set. Some of her sets have minis and some do not, but she has all kinds of awesome colorways. This is the first, I think since I started my podcast, this is my first pair of Turtle Pearl socks, but I absolutely love her, and check her out on Etsy. I'm doing these 2 at a time. I've got these on my ChiaoGoo red lace needles, which are perfect for 2 at a time, 40-inch. And I just can't wait to keep working up the leg. I will work up probably till I get past a few more of these orange sections. I'm not quite sure when I'll want to bind off. I don't think I will use the mini for the cuff. I think I'd like to just use the striping, the main color for my cuffs. But we'll see what I feel like once I get up there. This is Bewitching by Turtle Pearl. My last sock whip is actually a half-finished object. I told you I got a lot of knitting done in the car on our trip. This is Vintage Fall by Legacy Fiber Arts. They included this really pretty purple mini. Here's what it looks like in the cake. Here's the main color. Such subtle, beautiful fall colors. Sue, who dyes the yarn for Legacy Fiber Arts, is so wonderful, so talented. Absolutely adore her. And then here is the purple mini. I did do just a vanilla sock on these, but I did a German short row with just garter stitch, like Mina Phillips does in some of her sock patterns. She is the knitting expat. Definitely look her up on Ravelry if you haven't had a chance to yet. But she sometimes does her German short rows in just garter stitch, which all that means is instead of doing purls on the wrong side of the heel, you just keep knitting, and it just makes a little bit of a thicker fabric. It'll be interesting to see how this heel wears. And then I did a little more of a rounded toe. I started these cuff down. I did 20 rounds of a 2x2 rib for the cuff. And this yarn is just knitting up so beautifully. I love when the variegated colors just knit up so perfectly. And I think this purple mini makes such a nice accent for the toe and heel. I absolutely think this is going to be one of my very favorite fall pairs of socks. I have started the second one. I am through the cuff. I am using my Sweet Cherry Ghost Cookie Progress Keeper. These are my Knitter's Pride Carbons circular needles. These are very lightweight and I love them. This is going to be such a fun pair of socks. I just need to continue down the leg and make progress on number 2. Vintage Fall by Legacy Fiber Arts. I have this pair of socks in my Hamilton bag, also by Fate's Thread. I've showed this on the podcast before, but it's got a lot of the Hamilton characters, and I absolutely love this one as well. Last, I'd like to tell you about my 2 mystery knit-alongs I've been working on. I'm not really putting any pressure on myself to finish these by any particular time. I will try to have them done by the end of the month, but if that doesn't happen, it's okay. I've got so many other things on the needles, but I do love these projects and I want to keep working on them for sure. The first one is The Sharon Show by Casa Pinka. I am almost done. I have a couple more sections, but as you can see, it's a very interesting rectangular wrap that has all kinds of different things going on. Slip stitch patterns, fancy lace patterns, stripes. I am very happy with all of my colors and how they go together. This is all Knit Picks Stroll Fingering, except this pink color is Audine Woods by Knit Crate. The Sharon Show by Casa Pinka. I will be sure to show this when it is complete, of course, but here's what it looks like so far. My last mystery knit along is called The Garden Variety Mystery Knit Along by K.F. Jones. I made quite a bit of progress on this since last time I showed it. This is another rectangular wrap. I used a kit from Lolo Did It, her Cool Jewels kit, which had a bunch of fun colors. And it's got some very interesting construction. I've got a little bit more to do. I've got a few more sections going this way to do. But I really love how it's coming together. The colors are very me. I love all these colors and can't wait to wear this. I can't wait to see how it looks once it's blocked too. I think blocking is going to make a huge difference with both of these mystery knit along shawls. One of the main reasons I chose to do these was because it was a rectangular wrap and I don't really have very many of those in my shawl wardrobe. So I wanted to be sure to add a couple of those. Plus they just sounded really fun. So this one too has all kinds of different interesting stitch combinations, some lace, some eyelets, little bit of striping, and she calls all these different sections by a different flower, so that's kind of where she gets the garden variety. It's been so much fun seeing what everybody else has been doing with both of these knit-alongs on Instagram. If you are interested, definitely check out the hashtag Sharon Show MCal and the Garden Variety MCal hashtag. You will see all kinds of beautiful creations that all of you are making, and I just love to see it. This is the Garden Variety Mystery Knit Along by K.F. Jones. Once again, I will be sure to show this one last time once it is complete. Well, I think that is about all I have for you today. Thank you for sticking around with me. I really appreciate you tuning in, and I would really love it if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button and subscribing. That would really help out my channel. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below, or you are welcome to message me on Instagram. Again, I am at Knitty Heather, and I always love making new cyber knitting friends, so please look me up there. But until next time, be well, be kind, and happy knitting. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.